time to play ball. Welcome to the podcast with no limits, whether it be sports, current events, or random thoughts. This is the place to step in and stay a while. Your host is a proud alumnus of Rio Hondo Prep, a former minor league baseball umpire, and a man with strong opinions. Welcome to the Get Home Safe podcast and your host, Matt Hersema.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Get Home Safe. Happy Tuesday to everyone out there. I'm recording here on Monday afternoon. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, we got a nice new microphone here. You can probably hear the difference. I finally took the plunge and invested in a really good microphone, the Shure mic that you see on most podcasts, Joe Rogan and other big professional podcasts. So I hope the sound quality is as good as their podcasts are. Let me see. I think I'm good to go here. Yeah. So anyway, another week here, the first week in June, right? A big happy anniversary to my parents last week on June 3rd. They used to always spend their anniversary at the Care Youth League Circus running the pizza booth. I'm sure I've told that story before, but just two very important people in my life. And it's hard to believe back in the mid 80s that they took the plunge to get married and ended up having not just me, but my brother. So that was their punishment, I guess, for taking that plunge. But happy anniversary, Mom and Dad. Today, June 6th, is actually the D-Day Remembrance Day, a day that none of us should ever forget on the calendar. It's kind of why well, it's not D-Day related, but I threw on my Top Gun hat here, got my Alamo shirt. I don't know, it seemed fitting. They're not quite D-Day, but the Top Gun getting a lot of big plays right now, or at least their opening weekend. A lot of great reviews so far, and I'll definitely have to get out and see it because rumor has it that it's, pro-American, anti-woke. So I definitely like that. And we'll try to get out and pay my contribution to go see that film. But anyway, today is D-Day and 1944, man. We've all seen movies. We all heard the stories, but it's just something we should never, ever forget. We talk about 9/11. We talk about the horrors of that and the planes crashing and the burning buildings and people leaping to their death. We talk about Pearl Harbor and just guys waking up, shaving their face, and all of a sudden they're getting bombed. I mean, just stuff like that. And June 6, 1944, truly, the eyes of the world were upon not just the United States, but all the Allied forces, the British, the Canadians, the Australians who assisted in the D-Day invasion. If you've seen Saving Private Ryan, the landing scene, the opening scene of the movie, it's very graphic, but I thought did paint a pretty accurate portrayal of the horrors of that invasion and the initial surge. Band of Brothers portrays it from the air the night before, those guys jumping behind enemy lines to help just kind of ease the landing on the shoreline there. So if you have the stomach, if you're able to stomach some of the just absolute violence in some of those movies and scenes, and The Longest Day, I think, was John Wayne. I think he did it. I mean, it's not fun to see that stuff, but it's just crazy to think about that. This is a portrayal of something that really happened. And I've said it before, but the greatest honor of my life was actually visiting Normandy and standing there on that beach and seeing the craters, seeing the machine gun nests, and just looking out at the coast and imagining all of the ships, all of the planes, all of the equipment, all of the tanks, and you just overwhelmed with emotion. And I was able to assist me and three other guys from Rio Hondo Prep on our trip there. We're able to assist in the lowering of the two American flags there at sundown, one from each class. Just the biggest honor of my life and the biggest thrill, and still the most inspirational place I've ever visited is Normandy. And I don't think it will ever be topped. So, had the Allies not landed there in Normandy and went in to liberate Europe, who knows what would have happened? Maybe Great Britain would have fallen eventually. Who knows? Maybe Japan tried a land attack on us. The history books are written how they are because of the D-Day invasion and all of the sacrifices. And you got to really, what kills me is that, these young men, these 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they got off the boats there and in the ocean, they got on these little landing crafts, and they had to know that most of them were not going to make it. And I think prayers probably went up just hoping that they could even reach the shoreline, that they could get to that sand. And for so many of them, as soon as the doors opened, they were just under machine gun fire. And those first few boats, I hope they never saw it coming. They never felt anything. It was just over before the door even opened all the way. And it just, it breaks your heart to think about. To think about guys so young, and they knew they were doing what they had to do. I walk by my grandfather's photo every day, and he didn't fight in Europe. He was in Africa, but I have his American flag that he had the full honors when he passed away. He didn't die in World War II. He died when I was a freshman in high school, and he got the full military tribute. And so that is my most prized possession. And I look at my grandfather there, and I don't know how old he was in the photo, but I just think of thousands of people like him who fought in World War II, the greatest generation, hands down. And for all of those young men at Normandy to get on those landing crafts, to pray probably as hard as they possibly could, just begging for a chance to live, but also knowing, never hesitating, knowing that this is something they had to do to rid the world of tyranny and to fight evil. And if it wasn't them, then who else? And so that's what I think about every year when this date rolls around. The young men that got on that boat were throwing up, praying to their God, just scared to death, but we're not gonna not get on that boat, not get on those landing crafts. And to the men who survived, just what a remarkable story. To see some of them talk about this later in life is just heart-wrenching. And to be at Normandy myself back in 2001 and see the graves and see the crosses and the Star of David's in perfect straight lines, to be there at that cemetery and to stand on that hallowed ground is something I will never forget. And every June 6th, I do get a little emotional, just thinking about that day. And I honestly, I'll sit here and say it. I couldn't have done what those guys did. I don't care. I couldn't have done it. I don't want to say I would have been a coward or whatever, but we all have this courage inside of us that occasionally will come out, some of us more than others. And I'm somebody that has tried to speak more freely the past few years. I've tried to do my part in ways that I think contribute to a better society, just speaking my mind more. And my challenge to everybody is that think of those guys who stormed the beaches in Normandy. Think of those guys that got on those landing crafts and just kept charging on a sandy beach towards machine gun fire to liberate people they've never met in Europe and rid the world of the Nazi threat. Think of the courage of those guys. And my challenge to everybody here on D-Day, actually, D-Day +1, as you guys will hear this on June 7th, is I encourage each and every one of us, dig deep, find just 1% of the courage that these men had on D-Day. Think of all the obstacles they had to go through. I'm not asking to be even half as courageous, a quarter courageous. I'm asking for 1%. Bring it out, dig deep. I know it's there. I'm scared of heights. I'm scared, not really of the dark anymore, but I used to. There's plenty of other things. Talking to a random girl, that was terrifying to me. Thank goodness I don't have to do that anymore. I still say hello and I'm courteous and whatever. But there's things we fear doing. I was scared to start this podcast. And I said, you know what? Well, let's just go for it. Let's go all in, and you're going to make mistakes, but just go for it. Who cares what people think? So I'm asking, my challenge to you guys is dig deep. That D-Day generation, those young men who stormed those beaches, who were in those landing crafts in 1944. We will never be able to appreciate what they did enough, but we will never be able to add up to those guys. But what we can do to honor their courage is to commit to having just 1% more courage in our lives. Have 1% of the courage that they had. We can all do that. We can all take a leap and do something that we didn't think we could do, that we were scared to do, that we've been putting off. We can all show 1% more courage in our daily life to honor those men who got on those boats for us, who charged those machine guns for us. And I can't imagine just think of the for the guys that survived all the different times they cheated death. The doors open, you're taking fire. You somehow get out of the landing craft unharmed. Then you're in the ocean, and the water is well above your head. You can't stand. You're just trying to swim through gunfire that's coming through the water. Maybe you got guys laying on you, body parts all over the place, just absolute carnage around you, chaos, and you've nowhere to go. You can't go backwards. All you can do is go forward. And somehow, through all that mayhem, you get to the sand underneath the water where it starts a small incline. You get out of the water. You get to the dry sand. You're soaked. So every time you step or fall down into the sand, you get it all over you. You probably are carrying more equipment than you can carry, and you're still taking fire. Things are getting blown up around you. You just keep going. Maybe you do get hit and you keep going. Maybe your best friend next to you, he gets disintegrated or shredded right before your eyes, and you don't have time to grieve. You got to keep going. You get to a higher ground. You go over the hill. You get into that machine gun nest. You take out the enemy. I'm not asking any of us to do that. None of us have to. Thank God we don't, because of the individuals from June 6, 1944. And if all the things I just mentioned, none of us have anything nearly close to that as an obstacle, as something to be afraid of, as something that should hold us back. Oh, I'm too scared to do this. Oh, I'll never be able to do that. That's something I've said throughout my entire life. I found that all the things I thought I could never do, I would never do, I've actually done. And it's probably because of my fear and being hesitant that has kept me from doing it earlier. Of all the sports I thought I could officiate at the highest level, the last one was baseball. I said, I'll never be able to go behind a plate when 95 miles an hour. I said, I'll never be able to do that. And I did it. I didn't umpire in the big leagues, but I umpired plenty of big league players, but mostly minor league stuff. Doing a podcast. It was always my dream to have like a sports radio show that I could talk politics and my opinions. I could have probably done this a long time ago. I was too afraid to pursue certain things after college because I was afraid to fail. And so the past couple of years, I've learned to be a little bit more courageous. I'm still, I try to, at one time I was a tough guy, I thought I was in high school, but I have definitely a wuss side that I need to conquer. I think all of us do. I'm not very good with my hands. I'm not very good construction wise. I'm not quite a manly man in that area. I'm trying to be better at it. And so all I'm asking on this D-Day, again, every year it comes around, and to have another year of freedom is a big thankful to all the soldiers who've gone before us, but especially D-Day, one of the most gruesome battles and one of the biggest, they call it an invasion, but it was a liberation. And to put all that together is just something just so extraordinary. We can never forget it, because it was those young men off the boats, into the water, on the sand, just crawling for every inch for us. So things we're scared of, things we're worried about, That's my challenge today, not just to you guys, but to myself. I'm going to be 1% braver. I'm going to show 1% of the courage that those guys did. It might be speaking out about an issue. It might be going the extra mile at work. Whatever it is in your life, you're afraid to lose friends. You're afraid to lose family. Do what is necessary. Do what is right in your heart and be courageous. I'm not asking you to storm the beaches. All I'm asking for is to honor those guys by being 1% of the courage that they had, having 1% of the courage and bravery of those guys. Okay. Happy D-Day, everybody. Without men and women who have served the United States military and paid the ultimate sacrifice, we just have Memorial Day. It's very fitting that this time of year, Memorial Day, the D-Day anniversary, and then July 4th, kind of all following in each other's footsteps there. It's a very patriotic time of year. And I know we've all been very disappointed the past year or so with a lot of different things, and maybe our allegiance and belief in America maybe wavering a little bit. But I think it's holidays and dates like this that really put things in perspective and can kind of fuel us up a little bit. Okay. So that's my challenge to you guys. I have recorded a special 4th of July podcast already. I think it'll be out July. Let's see. The 4th is a Monday. So it'll be out on July 1st this year. I've already recorded it. And I will tell you this, you guys are going to love it. It's a great way to kick off the 4th of July weekend, Independence Day, as it should be known. Not just 4th of July, but Independence Day, when our forefathers, 1776, declared independence from the British and then fought a war for like 8 more years after that. So we'll get to Independence Day here soon, but I promise you guys, I was so fired up with Memorial Day and D-Day coming and then Independence Day around the corner that I just said, you know what, it's time to record our Independence Day episode. And I had just the right person to talk to that agreed to come on. And I talked with them for, over an hour. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to tease it for now for you guys. You guys can probably, some of you might be able to guess who it is, but for those wondering, I'm going to keep it suspenseful. It's just to build this thing up for our 4th of July episode on July 1st, coming up here in a few short weeks. Guys, I recently did something else, recorded the first episode of the Charge to Keep podcast, the podcast dedicated to Rio Hondo Prep football. I recorded it on Saturday, the day after the Rio Hondo Prep graduation, as almost a turning of the page, saying goodbye to those seniors from this year and officially kicking off the 2022 football season. I know there's not much going on as far as fan interaction right now in the summer months, but I wanted to get an episode out for June, just as for Coach Mark Carson sat down with me to talk about the summer preparation, the summer schedule for the opener this August 26th against El Monte. Anyway, you can find all Rio Hondo Prep football content at the new podcast called A Charge to Keep, AKA the Charge to Keep podcast, whatever you want to call it. Please go on. However you listen to this podcast, you should be able to find it at the various platforms. It is available at Apple, Google, Spotify. What's the other one? Amazon, and also on YouTube. Be sure to follow, like, subscribe, all those things, and you will get A Charge to Keep content. The first episode went great. Absolutely loved it. And I encourage you guys to go check out that podcast. It is available on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And it also has its own social media platforms, A Charge to Keep on Facebook. I think Charge to Keep Charge to Keep on Instagram. So you should be able to find it. If you need my help, reach out to me. I will let you know where you can find it. But I'm excited about it. Make sure you subscribe so you get the notifications when you will have new episodes. I'm planning to have an episode out in July as kind of a midsummer update of the football program. And then once we hit August, probably that second week of August, we are going to go every single week, weekly, probably on Fridays until the season starts. And then we'll probably go on Sundays or Tuesdays or something. So anyway, that's the plan for the Charge to Keep podcast. For those Rio Hondo Prep football fans, you should be able to find all Rio Hondo content right there. We're going to interview coaches, administrators, players, maybe some outside coaches and players and things. That's the plan. And can't wait to do that. So be sure to subscribe to the Charge to Keep podcast. That is off and running. the episode 1 is out, and there will be another episode in July, and then we will go weekly starting in August. So very, very excited about that. Okay, now I've told you guys this before, but I say that a lot too, just because I feel like I have said a lot of things before, and I'm trying to not repeat myself on most of these shows, but I end up doing that. So anyway, I've talked about my absolute peace. My peace on earth is having not 1, not 2, but 3 games on in the living room. I usually turn the sound down. I usually have Google Music going there in the background, so that anyone walking through is kind of, I don't know, we're in a cheery mood, almost like a restaurant atmosphere. And then I usually have my earpiece in, and I'm listening to a podcast or some type of show throughout the day. That is my like little heaven on earth. Now that I'm an adult and have my own place, like this is very, very cool for me. So I do the same thing over and over. But I'm happy with it. You know, when I get the free time, when I get the opportunity to do that, I'm definitely taking advantage of it. So this past weekend, guys, Friday through Sunday, and today is Monday, there's even more college baseball on. I have watched so much college baseball. Like I said, 3 games going at once, big TV, little TV, and my laptop here, just watching every pitch, as many pitches as I could watch, and watching my buddies work has been a lot of fun. All over the country. And man, I got to tell you, there's been some great games. And I will say this, I don't understand why the college baseball postseason does not get more interest. To me, it's one of the biggest sporting events of the year. It's basically, you got to look at it like this, and now it's on ESPN Plus. It's televised a lot more now, which you know, is probably a reason why people didn't watch it that much in the past. But you look at it this way, it's like I said, 16 14 regionals. Okay. Basically, in those 14 regionals, it's either a 6 or 7 game regional. So you basically get a 7-game series that you would see in Major League Baseball, which happens over the course of probably 9 days, maybe 10 days with the days off for travel. But in college, this college baseball postseason, you get at least 6 games. If it's pushed the extra game, it'll go 7. You get 7 games in 4 days, and it's double elimination. So when 3 teams have lost twice, it's over, and there's usually 1 team left standing, or there is 1 team left standing. And so you get a 7-game series. You get that feel in 4 days, and to see all the games going on one after another on the ESPN family of networks and everything, it's just super exciting. And to go from 64 down to 16 teams in 4 days is pretty awesome. And usually what happens on that Sunday is there's the regional final, right? The final 2 teams. One team is 2-0. You win your first 2, you get into the final. One team is 2-1 because they had to play an extra game. And because they have 1 loss, they have to beat the 2-0 team twice. So what happens is Sunday night, first of all, Sunday afternoon, you have the 1-1 game. The 2 teams who are 1-1 play each other. Whoever loses is out. The winner of that then has to play the undefeated team for the regional championship and hopes to force an extra game on Monday. That has happened last night on Sunday. We have 9 out of the 16 regionals have the extra, if necessary, winner take all game 7 today here on Monday. I'm watching UCLA and Auburn right now. They actually got rained out in their 2-0 versus 2-1 game, or delayed in the 6th inning. So they're finishing that up right now. UCLA is trying to rally here. It's 9-4. They have 1 loss, so they have to beat Auburn twice. It's not looking good for the Bruins, but that's just an example. So this is a record for the NCAA. Usually the host side, or whoever wins the regional, wins the first 3 games, and there is no Monday. But since they went to this format in 99, I believe, this is the most game 7s there have been on Monday, the last day ever. And so I don't know why this day, I think Clay Travis talked about it on his show today, but like, I don't know why this day is not a bigger day as far as the big sports landscape goes. Even if you're not that into baseball, it's super exciting. Home runs, all kinds of great plays. I saw like a dude on North Carolina robbed a game tying home run in the 9th. There's been some unbelievable moments, and the atmospheres are incredible. That they really like to yell at umpires, and that they think everything's a strike for when they're pitching and not when they're hitting. But it's just been so intense. And I can't think of, well, I think March Madness is what we all think of when we think of this, like, oh, it's one and done, right? And maybe the double elimination confuses some people or something, but it's super exciting if you just give it a shot. And I've been texting some friends who really do like the college baseball postseason like I do. And it's been a blast to do that. And so I was able to get off work early today to hustle home to be able to watch all 9 games. Although I'm recording right now, I do have the game, one TV turned around here so I can keep an eye on it. One of my buddy's games went to a rain delay, so I had a little time. So that's why I'm doing the podcast now. But anyway, I think there's 4 Pac-12 teams remaining as of right now. Oh, UCLA didn't. They're going to head to the 9th, down 5. But Stanford, Oregon State, UCLA, and Arizona, each of them still alive as of Monday, although UCLA and Arizona needed 2 wins today. So we'll see what happens. When you guys are listening to this on Tuesday, you will know more. But next weekend is the Super Regionals. It's 8 two-team matchups. It's a 2 out of 3 series, and whoever wins those comes out of those are the 8 teams that go to the College World Series. So an unbelievable weekend of college baseball. And we need a term. There's a new term we need. I talked about the 2-0 matchup versus the 2-1 matchup. It's called the tournament final, right? You can't really call it a semifinal because if the 2-0 team wins, they win the regional. If the 2-1 team wins, they force the extra game for the winner take all regional. So it'll be a 2-1 versus a 3-1. But I don't know. I have a tough time saying regional final when it's not the final game. I mean, maybe it's the final and then the extra game should be the final. I don't know. I was trying to think of a term. It's like when a team in game 6 of a series, they're down 3-2 and they need to win 2, right? It's like that for these baseball finals in the regionals and such. But it was just something I was thinking about. I was like, you know what? I don't know. Anyway, let's see. Boxing, I'm not going to get into that. It was kind of a boring fight this weekend and a lot of hype built around the Devin Haney and Gamboso's fight. It really didn't deliver any drama. Devin Haney, at 23 years old, became the youngest undisputed champion in boxing. So I thought that was pretty cool to see, but the fight wasn't all that exciting. He just kind of jabbed Gambosos to death. And hopefully you guys got to see that. As I mentioned last week, it was a free fight, ESPN, late Saturday night. And you didn't have the NBA finals going on. I guess there's a split in that already. And I'm not that interested in it. I tried to tune in a little, but just was like, you know what? I'd much rather watch college baseball. But again, I know I'm the lunatic. Anyway, let's see here. Okay, I've mentioned this in a few podcasts, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast with Bill Barnes last Friday. I talked about this with him among a few other things. I know he's a fan favorite, and we're going to try to get Bill back on. I don't know, once every couple months, we'll say. That's the plan anyway. But I wanted to ask you guys, if you ever dated somebody and you're describing them, but you're just everything you say about them is something negative. It's like, yeah, she does this or he does that or whatever. And it can't be. My point is, I see this with like people talking bad about America. If you bring up only bad things about somebody, you probably don't like them that much, or maybe there isn't that many good things to say about them. But I feel like the people that are critical of America, they like only dwell on the negativity. They never talk about the great qualities that she has. They talk about slavery or, the civil rights movement. They talk about all these really bad moments in our history, but they never mention that we've like gotten through those things. And we've had other issues. I'm sure, gun violence is a major thing now. And, equity rights now, that's a huge thing. But I just find it odd that people don't dwell on the good things. All they want to focus on is the negative. And if you're dating someone and all you focus on the negative, maybe you don't like the person you're dating very much. At least that's been my attitude. I've been there. Trust me. I've been like, someone asked me about, not my current lovely girlfriend, but people ask me about my prior dating history. And I'll be like, yeah, she's that. She's just, and I found myself complaining. And so many of my friends were like, well, what are you doing? Why are you with her? I'm like, that's a really good question. So anyway, I don't know if that analogy makes sense, but I'm always trying to, I don't know. I'm a visual guy. I like analogies because they kind of put my head in the right place. So if you're going to bash America's history all the time and not talk about, it's fine. It's fine to point out the flaws. I think that's important to the people who you love, right? The people you love now, the people you date now, they have flaws. I'm sure. I know I do. I get those pointed out a time or two, but it's not it's not the overall analysis of me. Okay. We can point out some of the mistakes America has made. But I think we also need to point out that we've gotten through those things, and there's so many more good things America has done for so many people. For the people that used to not have any rights in this country, now they do have rights. There's people that migrate here from all over the world. Why? Because it's the greatest country of opportunity, at least for now, in the world. And I don't know if this country's so awful, why are so many people trying to come here? It's a valid question, right? So if you're always talking about your significant other in a negative light, maybe you don't like them that much. And similar, on the flip side, like America, if you're only bashing America and then you're going to turn around and tell me, oh no, but I love this country. I don't know. I don't really believe you if all you ever talk about are the negative traits. So anyway, I tried it one more time without a guest. We'll see if that works for you guys. Let me see. You know, what phrase I hate? This is driving me crazy. This could be in baseball. This could be dating, but we've seen it in COVID, in government restrictions. We've seen this a lot. This is the biggest excuse phrase I've ever heard. Unintended consequences. These were unintended consequences. Well, unless you were insane, a lot of the policies and restrictions that happen as a result of COVID, or that were implemented for COVID, combating COVID, right? Saving everyone. Unless you were just a moron, these should not be unintended consequences. You should, if you can foresee, like keeping kids out of school, maybe for a year and a half or 2 years, whatever it was, and you couldn't see, well, there might be consequences for this. Like these were unintended or unforeseen consequences. It's like, were you just oblivious on the planet? Like, defund the police. Oh, okay. Unintended consequences of that was that there was more crime on the streets with less police there. You don't say. Are we that stupid? Are we that ignorant? Are we that oblivious now where certain policies that are made, we don't see like the consequences that are probably going to happen? And then the people that we're saying, hey, these are potential consequences of these policies. You were shot down as well, you're a misinformationist, you're an insurrectionist, you were being shot down. You're a COVID denier. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that kids out of school at home, they're probably not going to be able to socialize well. They're probably going to be depressed. They're probably going to, wouldn't you know it? A lot of that stuff came true. Kids missing school for 2 years was way more harmful than a virus was that wasn't going to harm kids. Oh, but Matt, there was a kid in Wyoming. No, okay, stop. If you didn't see unintended consequences coming, I'm not just talking COVID, but with anything, it means that your eyes weren't open. I remember when baseball went to instant replay, and I was in the lower levels, or maybe even I think it was out of minor league baseball at the time, but a lot of guys who were in AAA and they foresaw like, hey, if you go to instant replay, here's the potential problems that you're going to have. Oh, well, we won't worry about it. It's like, really, are you sure you want to do this? And then sure enough, years later, there were consequences that came up as a result of replay. Where do you put this runner if you do that? Where do when is the ball dead? When is it not? And it's just like, that's an example, but especially with COVID, locking down children in their homes for 2 years, we had unintended consequences. No kidding. we get, they try to sell us on these insane ideas. And then when they don't work, like everyone wear a mask, everyone get vaccinated, everything will work out. Then when they don't work, the unintended consequences were, people fought on airplanes and stuff. You don't say. It's hilarious. You get policies pushed to the forefront. This will help. We promise. Take away guns from everyone. That'll solve gun violence. Oh, it was an unintended consequence that when we took guns away from people, we saw a lot more murders because no one could defend themselves. I heard an interesting, I should start writing these down. I really should. regarding gun violence. There's been all kinds of stats regarding it recently, and all the countless people who've been killed in places like Chicago, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, but their lives don't matter. Apparently, it has to be a mass shooting or something. If it's gang related, that doesn't matter. We don't care about those things. I was going to say, apparently, one of the biggest, not the cause, as far as gun violence, a huge percentage of gun violence deaths, which they put, it's kind of like COVID deaths. They put, if some guy dies in a motorcycle accident, but he tested for COVID, he was a COVID death, that type of thing. A lot of gun violence deaths get just thrown into that category. A ton of them are suicides. I think it's like 50% of gun violence deaths are from suicide, which is, obviously one on none crime there, but hopefully not after they, kill somebody else, but not that it makes everything okay. Matt, you're heartless. No, it's not, that doesn't make that. Hear me out. All I'm saying is, next show, I will have those numbers for you, because I don't want to be the guy that just spews opinions into the microphone like they're facts, or whatever the saying is. So, police shooting. I think a police shooting, if a police officer kills a bad guy, like kills the bad guy in Uvalde, whoever killed him, I think it was the police, because they were a little slow going in there. But if that guy gets killed in a gun violence, that's considered a gun violence death as well. So the numbers, people throw around numbers and things and then don't have like the actual data to back them up. Kind of like what I'm doing right now, which I shouldn't be. I should be doing a much better job of that. But next week, maybe I will have some more details. But I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and discussion about this stuff. And it's hilarious to me when certain media and news organizations, they're like terrified that us Americans, we don't turn on CNN or MSNBC or what's the CNBC, CSNBC, whatever it is, CNN, MSNBC, and then there's one more. Anyway, I guess it doesn't matter because they're not that relevant. Anyway, add them all up. NBC, ABC, just basically all of them. Fox News. Oh, they're extreme right wing. Yeah, there's like one channel that like slants a little right, or maybe just common sense. And that's the extreme. That is a threat to our democracy. Coming up soon on the podcast, I am going to have a glossary of fancy liberal terms that get thrown around all the time. Existential, like existential threat, the global warming. How about existential gas prices? Systemic, see that word a lot. Equity. We're going to have a woke cheat sheet. I'm going to put some time into this and write it down because I told you the left is really, really good at language and controlling the speech and just the terminology. And that's a big reason why they are so powerful, because they're very good at language and terminology. And it's probably their very best weapon, in my opinion. Anyway, so I'm going to come up with a glossary. And if you have some words that you hear all the time, send them to me. Let's get some fan interaction here. And let's see here. All right. What did I say? Unintended consequences. That's probably the big one right now. It's like, really? Can you imagine in a conversation with your wife? I'm just spitballing here. I'm not married, but something goes wrong and you try to explain to your lovely wife, like, this was an unintended consequence of my action. It's like, I could have told you that. That's probably the response you would get. So unintended consequence. That's a wussy way of it. Giving an excuse. We don't need it. We don't need those types of weak excuses. Okay. I talked about describing someone you love and this and that. You know what I thought of the other day? There's a lot of hungry people on the streets, right? A lot of people that, are doing drugs and are homeless and, whatever. It's an issue that needs to get fixed here in California specifically. But I looked at some homeless people and then I drove by a Little Caesars, and the best thing Little Caesars does, although I try to lay off the pizza. And if I'm going to have pizza, I try to get, no offense to Little Caesars and Pizza Hut, Domino's, Papa John's, but I try to get, real authentic, maybe a Michelangelo's, a Mike's Pizza, Petrillo's, something like that. If I'm going to get wet, I'm going to go swimming. You know what I mean? So Little Caesars, they got the $5 hot and readies. Maybe it's $6 now because, this Biden economy, I tell you, it's ruining everything. It's made $5 hot and ready $6. I mean, where does it end, people? Anyway, so I thought to myself, and I may have gone in and purchased a hot and ready pizza the other day. And I was like, you know what? I don't need this entire pizza. I just wanted a bite to eat or something. I want to do like a hot and ready challenge. I'm not saying we should be feeding the homeless with all of our hard-earned dollars, but maybe if you see someone, hey, what's five? Maybe you share the pizza. Like I said, buy $6 hot and ready pizza. Maybe you have 2, 3, maybe 4 slices, however many slices you usually have. I will not lie. I have crushed an entire hot and ready pizza before. I'm not proud of it. And the first step to improve it towards recovery is to admitting that you have a problem. So yes, there have been moments where I crushed an entire hot and ready pizza. It wasn't, maybe there was a couple times. So anyway, we don't need an entire hot and ready pizza. But what I'm saying is, if your heart's feeling good, you see a Little Caesar, maybe you see, maybe the planets align and you see both parties there, and you're hungry yourself a little bit. I'm not saying just give away $5, $6 of your hard-earned money. But if, hey, you're hungry, hey, I could go for a slice or two, grab a slice of pizza, eat a few, and then maybe pass it along to someone there on a street corner. I mean, it's not ideal. I think some people would say, well, if you give people food or money on the street, they're going to use it for bad things. Hey, it's just an idea I had. I'm not saying let's go on a shopping spree and buy people Thanksgiving dinners every 2 days or something. I'm saying if the planets align, you're hungry, you don't want to sit in a drive-through. Yeah, but you don't have much time. Oh, hey, there's a Little Caesars. I don't eat a whole pizza. Oh, wait, hey, there's a homeless person. Hey, I'm just saying, Matt Ursman's got a heart somewhere in here. It's buried. I know it's very dark. It's probably not beating as well as it should, but it's in there. So it's just a thought. Hot and ready. And I know some of my buddies, I know who you are. I won't say any names. Fred Monoblanco. I could see Fred getting a hot and ready, eating the whole thing. And yes, Fred, don't tell me you haven't eaten a whole hot and ready before, maybe even as recent as last week. And I could see someone like Fred, or my brother Sam for that matter, saying, hey, here you go, and giving some homeless dude an empty pizza box, because they are heartless, truly heartless. It's kind of funny, but that is heartless. I'll still never forget. We were walking in, I think it was Holly. We were out doing something or other. And, Obama was re-election or he just won his election, and some homeless guy in the street was, hey, man, hey, got any loose change? Hey, you got anything? And I had enough. And Fred was with me, and I just said, hey, Obama's got your change. Leave me alone. Cause that was his big thing was, oh, hope and change. And I'm glad that anyway, worked out for everybody. So I'm all over the place. You know what I did recently? I started doing Uber deliveries instead of driving people more. And I tried the whole Uber Eats thing, which I've done before, but I was like, all right, towards the end of the night, I just want to stay close to home. I did Uber groceries. So I went to Walmart. And you know what? I didn't think Walmart could get worse. That experience of going in there when you're a kid, it's cool because they have everything and there's a McDonald's there. This is great. But as an adult, not a fun place to go. And I got sucked into this. I said, what is this? Uber delivery Walmart. So I pull into the parking spot. The dude brings me out groceries, 2 different sets of groceries, because I got a second call while I was there. They don't bag up the stuff. Well, some of it they do. And so then you go to these. I went to 2 apartments, and good grief. One guy was terrified to come downstairs to get the groceries from my car, because he said his girlfriend was sick and probably COVID related, and it wouldn't be good to go face to face with someone. I'm like, bro, just groceries. I'm not even getting out of the car. Just come get your groceries. I thought that was super lazy. And then the second apartment I went to, I go to this apartment. I go up thinking, okay, it's probably an older person or some lady that has 4 kids and doesn't have time to go grocery shopping. So I'm trying to do the right thing and let me contribute to society and be a good delivery man. And I go and knock on the door, and it's just this big dude, just there playing video games. And then I thought he'd come down the stairs and help me, because it was like 4 or 5 trips I made. Nope, didn't come down one time. And I get it. I mean, I guess you're paying for it. So you're paying $6 for someone to deliver your groceries. I'm not walking downstairs to come get them. I have Mario. What are the games these days? What do they play on? Are PlayStation still a thing? PlayStation 7? What are we on now? I don't even remember. I was a classic Nintendo guy, AB and Mario Brothers and Tecmo Super Bowl, greatest games ever. But anyway, I grew up after, I moved on from what are they called? Video games. Yeah. So anyway, Pokemon, is that a thing? I don't even know. So this guy, mid-30s, my age, He made me look like an Olympian. We'll say that. And just, is that everything? I'm like, no, I have 3 more trips to bring up your stuff. The 4 12 packs of soda. Anyway, I won't get into what else he had, but I thought that was really, really funny. I'm like, come on, dude. Yeah. Anyway, frustration. Okay. Check that. What do you guys think of this? So in baseball, you see a ton of this, right? In other sports, a little bit here and there. The concept of gamesmanship versus cheating, right? If you're not cheating, you're not trying, is one of the phrases. But one like fancy way, I talked about language earlier, one fancy way to talk about or to partake in maybe bending the rules a little bit is gamesmanship. And let me get the definition for you here, but you'll hear that. And it's like, oh, that's just a fancy way of saying you're cheating. I was full of gamesmanship when I played. We'll say that. Gamesmanship is the art of winning games by using various ploys and tactics to gain a psychological advantage. I could say that exists a lot in baseball, whether it be stealing the signs, right? If you're the third base coach and you could kind of peek in and see what signs the catcher's giving, or you're running around second base, same thing. And you kind of, if you grab your shirt, it's a fastball, or if you say hit it, it's a curve or whatever, like from the third base coach. These things go on, especially in college baseball, not so much in professional baseball. When it does, they're a lot more subtle about not letting the other team know that they are in fact, tipping a pitch or something of that nature. That is all gamesmanship to me. That's part of the game. That's not cheating. That is gamesmanship. I would agree that is part of the game. If you can get away with it, kind of thing. I don't think it like takes away cheating. To me, I look at cheating almost like if it involves your character, you're trying to gain an advantage. In officiating, we used to say they are trying to gain an advantage not specified by rule. And in moments like that, I think in football or baseball, any sport, I think there were certain situations, I can't think of one right now, that wasn't necessarily covered in the rule book, that we had kind of a jurisdiction. There was not rule 902C, I think it was, whatever, where if a situation came up that wasn't necessarily covered by rule, we as officials could use our best judgment to make sure that the game was being an equal playing field, right? So, but as far as gamesmanship goes, you see a ton of it in baseball. Not so much, maybe in like basketball, like say there's a free throw and maybe, you accidentally drip some sweat on the ground in the key, and you kind of are quote unquote, mopping it up with your sneakers just to give the guy a little something, a little longer time to process. Oh man, these are game tying free throws. I don't know if I can, that's gamesmanship. That's not really cheating. That's just playing the game within the game. So I thought of that watching all this baseball this weekend, and there's so much gamesmanship that goes on. And when you cross into that negative character type of thing, winning at all costs, basically, I'm trying to think of something that would be cheating. Like that was the biggest thing when we were umpiring, like, come on, you got to call it both ways. It's like, whoa, are you inferring? Are you implying that I'm cheating? Because that's a serious allegation. You may not like the way I'm calling your pitches. Maybe I don't like how your pitcher's pitching. Maybe there's that too, but do not imply that I am cheating, because that's a serious allegation, and you're attacking my character. So that was always kind of the response with that stuff. But as far as I'm trying to think other sports, let's get a conversation going. Maynard, Todd, Sam, John Lee, you active listeners, I know you're out there. Send me a couple examples, or maybe ask me, hey, what do you think of this? Is this gamesmanship or is this cheating? Because any of us who've played sports, and most of us have, given a little elbow under the basket, maybe it's cheating, maybe it's competing, right? As I've talked about before, cheating versus competing. But I thought gamesmanship was like the fancy, almost British, elegant way to say, you're pushing the limits, right? You're playing the game within the game. So how are you? Gamesmanship on your taxes? Is that a thing? I'm just kidding. We all know we all pay way too much in taxes. Anyway, I found that term interesting. So let me know what you guys think. I want to hear from you. You know the email address, gethomesafepodcast@yahoo.com. I think I also have gethomesafepod at gmail.com. We'll have to double check the website. You can also text me, guys. I love hearing from you. So I've thrown out a few topics today that I think are not bad. Let's get into the baseball thing in a second. One final thing. Okay, everyone talks about emotions of baseball and how, it's so great to see in college, we need players to be more theatrical. When they hit a home run, they should be able to stand there for 4 seconds and flip their bat. We need more excitement in baseball. It's so great when a guy slides into second that he thumps his chest and does some sort of orchestrated dance. It's so great that baseball players, they got to run out of the dugout. They can't stay in the dugout to give high fives. They got to run out of the dugout to give high fives so everyone can see them. Look how much we care. Look how passionate we are. A defensive player, falls on a fumble in football. They got to go do selfies and some orchestrated choreographed dance because they're so great. They did their job. Man, this emotional stuff is fantastic. Guy slam dunks a basketball. He needs to do the Macarena and then the what's another dance? I don't even know dances. The Macarena. I threw that out there. What's the one? The Harlem Shake. You got to do all this celebration. We need more of that. That will give us more viewership. It's the modern era. We need the players to not be robots, to be passionate. However, when a baseball umpire maybe shows a little emotion, how could he make this game about him? How could he be a human being? Just get back behind the plate and call the game. How dare you hear the things people are yelling at you? Why is he he needs to show, how could he show emotion there? We want everyone else in the stadium to do it, but that umpire? And I've talked before about officials stepping on a field and being like the I'm in charge guy, but that stuff hardly ever happens in like the first inning. It's usually like in the middle of the game where an umpire's been just quiet doing his job, usually. And there's probably been a bunch of things said, and then he'll respond to what's being said. Hey, I'm tired of listening to you. The dumb broadcasters will be like, what is he doing? How can he hear anything? Meanwhile, things have probably been said for like 3 innings, and he's finally addressing it. And umpires are bad guys. And it's hilarious. The media and fans, they have this like these rules for officials that I don't know who made them up. He needs to ignore that. Who said that? Where'd you hear that? Which is pun intended. That's funny. What do you mean he's supposed to ignore? Well, you just need to umpire the game. That's what I'm doing. You're yelling at me. So I'm addressing you. And maybe you don't like the way I'm addressing you, but I don't like you're addressing me. Some big league baseball the past few weeks, umpires, barking in the dugout. It's like, what's he yelling over here for? How can he hear anything from there? Like these guys have never been on a baseball field and they don't understand that like sound exists. Like you can hear someone from the stands. You can hear a guy, especially when he yells at your name. Come on, Matt. That's BS. That's effing. It's literally directed at the umpire and he's supposed to ignore it. No, that's not how that works. So all this emotion that we want from players, and I understand, I already hear some people rolling their eyes. Can you hear people roll their eyes? I can. I have that talent. I can hear you rolling your eyes. I can hear you shaking your head, see you shaking your head. I understand. No one came to watch the umpires. No one comes to watch the officials. They don't need to be. No one came to watch them. I'll tell you this from experience. No official is doing anything because he's excited. People are like watching him. No guy likes to enforce the rules or the law or whatever. And it's like, man, I'm really glad everyone's seeing me do this. This is cool. That's not why you officiate. That's not why you umpire. And maybe, just maybe, guys get a little emotional because they hit a boiling point. It's not the first time that day that they've had something said to them. So it's, I sit here and I just want to throw this baseball at things. I'd never hit anything for those of you who know I can't hit or throw. You guys know that, but I just like, you want people, they want robots. They really do. And that's what they're going to with baseball. They want this automatic, strike zone that doesn't work. Might as well call it the mask strike zone. But you can't have it both ways. You can't have guys, well, he's not being professional. Really? Really? You love unprofessional stuff. And I'm sorry, sometimes I've never been a police officer, but sometimes when I'm officiating a game, I do know this. Sometimes it calls for you to be a little more emotional, to be a little more fired up. It took me a while to get there and figure that out because I was gun shy, we'll say. And yeah, it's just official. I'm talking about mostly college and professional sports because that's what I see. That's what kind of my social circle is. And I'm always going to defend these. Shouldn't say always. You never say always and you always say never or something like that. Anyway. All right. Enough of that. I found that got me a little fired up, as you could see. We want all this emotion up your chest, but officials, you need to be. Go ahead. Yes. Oh, you said words. I won't do anything. Yes. Okay. And I know no one is there to see the officials, but still, human beings are human beings. We all have human traits and things. So be careful what you wish for. All right. Bottom of the ninth. I have another baseball term and a baseball rule for you guys. Kind of quicker ones today. But that's good because I did kind of ramble on and I got more baseball to watch. By the way, UCLA has been eliminated. Michigan and Louisville, they're in a real tight one here. Michigan was down 7-2 or 7-3. They now lead 9-7. Wow. 8th inning. I got to get to this TV, guys. And maybe some Little Caesars pizza. I'm just kidding. Anyway. Okay. 2 terms today that I wanted to get to. I got some good feedback on some friends listening to the pod. They're like, I really like that segment to close out the show. So baseball slang, we learn a little something about baseball terminology and then try to dive a little bit into a rule here with the great game of baseball. So last week I did some kind of college baseball things as far as, let me see here, as far as the college baseball tournament specifically, and watching so much baseball to this weekend, it got me thinking about another another rule, I should say, that I think you guys would find interesting. First of all, the slang term, it's an easy one. It makes sense as soon as you hear it, but it's kind of associated with what I just talked about. And that was rabbit ears. When, teams, they want to yell at you and then they'll always tell them, oh, that umpire has rabbit ears, basically meaning he has giant ears and then you can hear everything. Ha, 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 ha. Really funny. Meanwhile, if I said something about you, I guarantee you would respond. Never in the history of the world has somebody said something to somebody that they didn't want them to hear. Does that make sense? If you're at the end of the dugout and you say something, you shout something out to the umpire, you literally want it heard by that person. That's why you're saying it. I hate to have to slow things down for the people like this, but that's literate. And then he reacts and it's like, oh, there's no carrots over here. Rabbit ears. First of all, you say that to me, you should get ejected immediately because that's making a mockery of the whole thing. But rabbit ears gets thrown around all the time and it's an attack on umpires and I will not stand for it. To me, you're a coward. You're a coward if you say you shout something from far away that you wanted me to hear. I turn and now, oh, rabbit ears, you're not supposed to hear things. Get out of our dugout. That's the best one. Meanwhile, you're the coward that said something and then hid behind people. Or when you are having a conversation and you turn to walk away and you cheap shot me while my back is turned. I'm talking as an umpire here because I used to umpire. It's you guys understand what I mean. I haven't umpired in a while, but I'm saying it in first person for that reason. So you're a coward. You're going to insult me. I'll probably still eject you. And that's why when I do walk away and you say something that's ejectable, you're getting ejected, but say it to my face. Don't say it over there. Don't be a coward, man up, show some courage, man up. Don't, it's just so weak to shout an insult or whatever to an umpire. And then he responds and because you baited him and he calls you call him rabbit ears. And it's just like, it's so weak. It's so weak. Be better than that. So rabbit ears, that's your baseball slang term for the day. Now, have you guys ever wondered why with 2 strikes, you cannot bunt? You cannot have a foul bunt attempt. If you bunt with 2 strikes and your bunt attempt goes foul, why you are out? Why are you declared out? Why does that rule exist? Have you guys ever thought about that? bunting with 2 strikes. You can still bunt with 2 strikes. If you bunt it fair, all the power to you. But if you bunt a 2-strike pitch and it goes foul, you are automatically declared out. So have you ever wondered why that is a rule? Well, I'll tell you. Back in the day, this all stems right from back in the day, right? The old school baseball is pitchers would throw forever, right? And to either as a stall tactic or as a way to get the pitcher to throw a lot more pitches. If I may have butchered this, so you can fact check me if you want. But I know that this is part of the reason, at least why this rule exists, in a way for to tired out pitchers or to stall and give your pitcher more time. Really good hitters who could handle the bat well, pitch would be thrown and they would just bunt it foul. Pitch would come in, you can handle a bat and you could be up there forever, right? Not bunt a bad pitch make sure it's a strike. But if a pitch is in the strike zone, you should be able to get a bunt down. And some guys are really good and we just bunt it foul left and right all the time. And so eventually the rule went in that, hey, if you bunt with 2 strikes and the ball goes foul, you are declared out. So that is why that rule exists. It goes, again, way back to the beginning of baseball, I think. But I'm sure I'll double check it myself. But that's the story that I heard. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. Now, what is a bunt? Well, he didn't bunt. That was a bunt. I mean, if you squared a bunt and you pull the bat back and the ball hits the bat, is that a bunt? Well, you squared the bunt, but is that a bunt? No, that would not be a bunt. And maybe it's like a half swing and you left the bat there. Is that a bunt? It's all an interpretation of the judgment of the umpire. And in baseball, let me see here. The bunt. I know this. I memorized this when I was umpiring because we had to, but it was a pitch, not a batted ball, not swung at, intentionally met, tapped lightly within the infield. Believe tapped lightly or slowly tapped lightly within the infield. A batted ball intentionally met. So intentionally meeting the baseball, right? So you squared a bunt, the pitch comes high up and in, and you pull back to get out of the way. It hits your bat and it goes fair or goes foul, whatever. Is that a bunt? It's not a bunt because you did not intentionally meet the baseball. It's still a batted ball. Ball hits just the bat. That's a batted ball, whether it goes fair or foul, but it is not a bunted ball. A batted ball intentionally met, so intentionally meeting it with the stick there, not swung at. So you also say, was it intentionally met and not swung at? So it's got to fit all 3 of these criteria, right? And then the third is tapped lightly without swinging. Tap lightly within the infield, I believe is the third terminology. So that is the definition of a bunt. Kind of a 2-for-1 here. Why is the 2-strike bunt rule? Why does it exist? And what is a bunt? A pitch, a batted ball, not swung at, intentionally met, intentionally met, not swung at, tap lightly within the infield. Sometimes, you've seen the balls that are bunted that go a long way, or maybe are popped kind of up and over someone's head. It's still considered a bunt, even though they go a little airborne there. I'm not going to get into it now, but when we do get to infield fly, that is one restriction on an infield fly. You cannot have an infield fly on a bunted ball. So if a guy squares to bunt and he bunts it up to the pitcher with the bases loaded, or it's an infield fly situation, it is not an infield fly situation on a bunted ball, which is kind of tough, but we will eventually get to all that. So the 2-strike rule in baseball, why it is you cannot bunt with 2 strikes, and what exactly is the definition of a bunt. That is our baseball rule. As far as our baseball slang, rabbit ears. I hate when people say that. And especially when like, hey, sorry, rabbit, tricks are for kids. Well, you guys are acting like kids if you're going to call me that. So it's unprofessional. I don't like it. And I hate when announcers say it. And that's all I have to say about that. Guys, I am out of ideas, out of thoughts, out of time. More baseball for me to watch. Enjoy the Super Regionals this upcoming weekend. So excited for that. Some of you may be watching the NBA Finals. I'm really not. The NHL Stanley Cup playoffs are fantastic. Still going strong. I told you Denver, Colorado was looking like they were going to dominate the West and get to the finals. And the New York Rangers putting up quite a fight with Tampa Bay. So be sure to tune into those. But college baseball, there will be 8 super regionals, 4 starting Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and 4 more starting Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Best 2 out of 3. You'll find all the games on the ESPN family of networks. Be sure to tune in, guys. I'm telling you, it's one of the most underrated sporting events, I believe. Truly, just great baseball. Every pitch is intense. Every pitch matters. And I'm always rooting for that third team out there. Those guys running around with the rabbit ears, umpiring the games. Anyway, just kidding. All good things must come to an end here. Happy belated D-Day. Again, as I open the show today, with all seriousness, and we bounce around to some other topics, but never forget D-Day. Honor those who showed so much courage. By us, by you yourself. My challenge to me and to everyone out there is show just 1% of the courage that those guys had. I think they have absolutely earned that, and we owe that to them all. Guys, thanks so much. Check out the Charge to Keep podcast. Episode 1 is already out, and I will be back on Friday with a great guest here on the Get Home Safe podcast. But guys, as always, no matter what you're doing, whether you're out on the town or around in third base, get home safe.